Welcome to Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott, your host. Joining me from New York is Alan Furstenberg. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, Dan.
Such a good mood. And joining me from
An undisclosed location.
is Cadeus. Welcome, Cadeus.
What's up, everybody? Long time no see.
Good to have you with us. So, okay, so this, I remember, Alan, there was a story about a refrigerator being hacked into, and I thought it was hilarious. And you did not think it was hilarious because you said, well, what are they going to hack into next if they can hack into your refrigerator? And I guess this week we learned one thing that they might hack into next, and that's a Jeep, or I guess the whole Chrysler thing. And then,
Honestly, this is not a surprise. This is not a surprise to anyone who has actually been paying even the vaguest amount of attention.
well, in your social circles and your technological circles, this was not a surprise. To Joe's
No.
six
I
pack,
mean,
this was a surprise, wasn't it?
Wired's been reporting on this sort of thing before. This is not even the first Wired report that talks about hijacking a car via the internet.
Now, is this, why are these things all connected?
Because car designers are idiots. No, here's the fundamental reason. Because they want to be able to do things like if you lock yourself out of your car, they want to be able to let you in. They want to be able to provide features like remote starting of your car through your phone. They want to be able to provide features like if your car gets into an accident, it should be able to report what happened. So all of that means that things like the airbag sensor, the door locks, your radio, everything needs to be connected to the internet. And because of that, that means that they need to write a secure operating system. And auto manufacturers don't know what security is. So,
To be fair, there is no operating system that hasn't been hacked, right?
yeah, but to be fair, they did a pretty fucking easy job on this one.
So this was not, I mean, are these guys like geniuses or just you could have written this code in a weekend? I don't know.
The exploit code, I couldn't have, no. But that's because I got out of the security industry a couple of decades ago because I was afraid of, well, this.
Well, I mean, I do think, if you, I guess to follow what you're saying, it is neat that the concept of let me start my car, it's cold outside, let me turn the radio on, let me turn the heat on in the car, right? And be able to do that from my phone. So if I could do all those things, then somebody else could if they can get
Well,
into the system.
exactly. So the question is, but there are questions like, well, why are the brakes connected to this system? And the answer is that there are still important things that you might want to do within the car's electronic system that are related to the brakes. So, for example, you don't want to be able to turn on the car unless the brakes are depressed. Now, in the past, that would have been done with a mechanical interlock, but nowadays that's done with an electronic interlock. And since the ignition now needs to be tied to the internet, that means that the brakes now end up being tied to the internet.
Also, the cars are getting smarter, or I guess dumber as far as security, but they're getting smarter. Remember the famous ad that Vic Condotra did for Mercedes where he was distracted and the car detected that he was about to rear end somebody and it slowed down and came to a complete stop without his really being aware of it until the midstream. So I guess it's all one system. We saw something recently, I can't remember the details, I'm just thinking about it, but the guy hacked into the airplane. He was on a
There's some
passenger
dispute.
jet.
There's some dispute about that. And theoretically, airplanes have more of a firewall in between control systems and entertainment systems, which he did get into.
I
But
thought he was
even
able to
then,
steer the plane, or is that in dispute?
that's in dispute.
Okay.
In this case, however, there is no disputing the fact that they slowed the car down and stopped it, as well as took control over other systems.
Now, clearly, this takes some knowledge. This is not something a teenager could do, but it's something that yet, right? Unless they release code,
Well, I don't know. I know a couple of teenagers who might have, taken a good stab at this sort of thing.
Back in your wilder days, maybe you could have. So what about this drone with the gun? That's scary. This little quadcopter or whatever it was, little hobbyist UAV with a pistol on it, and the guy was shooting up his backyard, I guess. They're not sure if anything was illegal. I'm not sure if it would be illegal, as long as it was legal to fire the gun there. But that's a whole scary thing. I mean, we just finished talks with Iran because they might acquire a weapon, and here these YouTube people, coming up with armed drones. And before any of our viewers get mad at me for saying drone, I know UAV is the appropriate term for a smaller thing, but thoughts on that, Alan? That's kind of crazy. Should we worry that you might get just mowed down by a dozen drones?
I have no thoughts on this.
I see you've expanded your repertoire. Cadeas is preoccupied.
Cadeas
Okay.
is
No, I
laughing
just
at you, Dan.
I'm laughing at you because I don't have any comments either.
Is there anyone who's working on white hat stuff instead of whatever the hell you guys are doing? All right.
Yes.
Any thoughts on what do you?
Obviously, these car guys were white hats. They reported the problem to Chrysler months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what was Chrysler's response? Obviously not to fix it.
We have computers in our car?
Unbelievable.
No, I have no idea what their response was. But my understanding is that the people that discovered the problem did report it to Chrysler. And obviously Chrysler is getting a patch out now within a couple of days of it. So
Apparently they took, NBC News, CBS News, CNN, and the others more seriously than I guess did Wired break this? Wasn't it Wired?
yes, this is broken out by a Wired story.
And then I guess they videotaped it. It sounded pretty scary, even though the guy knew he was, he was about to get had, right? He went to that, was it Columbus, Ohio or somewhere?
I don't remember the details.
But he went there specifically to do this, and he didn't know exactly what they would do or when, but he was driving around, and I think they actually ended up driving the car safely, not to roll it, but into a ditch. After they turned the headlights on and the windshield wiper and turned the radio up, and he couldn't even override it. So I don't know. Pam is here in Menifee, New York, getting situated. Pam, are you situated yet?
Oh boy.
Go ahead, Alan.
I'm in California, but
Oh my God, did I say Menifee, New York?
yeah.
Yes.
See. Oh my God, did I just run against Walter Mondale and win? So Pam, welcome.
Thanks. What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about the hacked Jeep, and neither of them want to talk about the little drone with the pistol on YouTube. The kids were, I say kids, I don't know who it was, but they were shooting. They came up with, they attached an actual pistol to a little quadcopter thing, a hobbyist drone, and were firing it.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's kind of
know,
my observation was, we're having talks with Iran to contain their weapon, and here we are with these kids on YouTube. They could just roll into your living room. But that's a
Yeah.
whole thing.
Well, so here's the thing. If the FAA wants to say that if your neighbor's flying a drone over your backyard or on your property, you can't legally shoot it down because technically it's an aircraft. And the airspace above the ground is controlled by the FAA. Well, if they want to say that, then they better regulate the aircraft so that it doesn't
I think
come with weapons.
I think
you know?
I think you own the air a certain amount
Nope,
above your house.
Hey, I read the article
Really?
the other day. Yep, and they're saying that you cannot legally shoot down any kind of drone that's on your property or looking at you or peeping at you or whatever, you need to call the cops. They can get them for peeping laws or whatever, but you have to respect the fact that it's an aircraft and you can't
That's bullshit. I mean,
do it.
it may be legal, but that's ridiculous. So if you're coming out of the shower, and there's some drone streaming live video, and you
Of your
can't like
shower.
swat it with your towel. I mean,
Yep. Isn't that stupid?
I like
So,
that video
yeah.
of that redneck guy who shot it the hell out of the sky with his shotgun or something.
Hmm. Yep. And I bet you he got in trouble for that.
He got a number of views on YouTube.
That too. But yeah, so
I always thought that you owned a certain amount of space above your house.
you do, but you still can't knock down an aircraft.
You can shoot your neighbor's dog if it comes over and starts messing with your dog, if it's on your property.
Not in California.
Well, you're in a crazy state. You're not in a real place. You people have like 1,000 miles of ocean and you don't have any water. I mean,
Oh,
let's not
now
even get in.
we're you people, huh?
I'm over here in Donald Trump country.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who's in Donald Trump country?
Oh, that's right. You are.
Yeah.
Alan in Menifee, New York.
You have a different breed of wacko out there.
Pam's in the Hamptons, California. Yeah. So, what do you think about the Trump? I love it. I cannot get enough of it. Watching it. What do you think of that? And then we'll get back to the actual topics. What do you think about Donald Trump? I cannot get enough of it. It's the ultimate reality show. He even had a motorcade and he has an airplane with his name on it. It's so awesome to watch. Can you imagine a debate with him?
Okay, here's what I really think. Looking at the current field of candidates on the Republican side, he's the perfect caricature of all of them molded together.
That's true. I mean,
he is. He's like the exaggeration of each one of them in a different way. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
you see some, and there's Trump, and I don't know how to categorize him. I don't think we've seen anything like that since like a Teddy Roosevelt. This larger than life. He's probably the richest person, even adjusted for inflation, who's ever run. He does not give a damn about anybody. You cannot rile him. You know what I mean? He's trolling the whole thing. It's just great. I love watching it. It's the ultimate reality television show. And he was there in Laredo, Texas, and with the Latino mayor and the Latino guy, and he was like, we have to get the illegals, the rapists, all this stuff, and they're sitting there smiling like giddy schoolgirls because they're on TV with the famous guy. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. They were like so excited that Donald Trump was in their town. You know what I mean? And apparently it's split in Mexico. There's like he has fans there. I've never seen anything like it. My God, I will have lived if I get to see him.
I'm sorry. What's Donald Trump's wealth? I know
He claims 10 billion. The absolute rock bottom minimum, if you did all the ranges on his 953 page form, the absolute minimum will be 1.7 billion. But he says 10 billion, but 10 billion is definitely within the range because you don't have to give specifics.
Ross Perot is currently worth 3.7 billion.
Okay, so
who is?
Ross Perot.
Is he running?
Not currently, but Dan made an absurd claim about worth of anyone who's ever run. I would actually venture to guess that Thomas Jefferson might have been worth more in his day. But that's another story.
I would have said George Washington was worth more than Jefferson. Okay, so while I Google George Washington net worth, adjusted for inflation. How much you want to bet? There's a whole freaking Wikipedia thing. We have reached.
I'm just impressed that you're Googling, Dan. That's so unlikely.
Folks,
Welcome back, Cadeas.
okay, he would be the equivalent of a
Wait, how
billion.
much changed?
Washington would be a billionaire, equivalent of 1 billion today, according to the Google. Yeah, I was going to say I thought Washington was the wealthiest president we've ever had.
No. Actually, I would almost bet the Roosevelts were worth more, too.
Okay, in 2010, I'm looking at a Wikipedia entry of, sure enough, list of presidents by net worth in millions of 2010 U.S. dollars. Washington 525 million. But another thing said so. Yeah, Kennedy up to 125 to 125 million to 1 billion. So Kennedy number one, Washington, then Jefferson, quarter billion. Theodore Roosevelt, 125 million. Andrew Johnson, 120 million. Madison, 100 million. Lyndon Johnson, 100 million. Everything's bigger in Texas. FDR, 60 million. Bill Clinton, 55 million. And then on and on and on. So there. Anyway, I just think him in a Republican debate, it would just be, I mean, talk about red meat for Fox News. Oh, my God. I just think he doesn't care. He can't be bought, right? All he wants is fame and ego. And it's just awesome to watch. I just love it. I cannot get enough. And then all the TV shows are having, they know what they're doing. They know that they're talking about him too much. No other candidate, all the other candidates did something yesterday. Trump went to Laredo. None of the others, the only time they get on TV is if they say something about Trump, if they criticize Trump. That's why they're all criticizing Trump. And then when they do say something, I think, what's his name, the guy, Bobby Jindal, who right now, and anytime 4 people get together in Louisiana, he's there giving the same speech over and over. But he said something like, if Hillary wins, America will be just like Greece. Just absurd, ridiculous things. So I guess Pam's right. Maybe he is just a caricature of these guys. But I just can't get enough of it. I will have lived if I get to see him in a Republican debate. So anyway. Okay. Next. Google, the photos thing, and obviously Alan is uniquely qualified to talk about this.
Why am I uniquely qualified to talk about this?
Because every time we talk about photos, it's like winding you up, and you go for like 2 hours.
That doesn't make me uniquely qualified to talk about this.
Well, nobody else on the show
I
cares.
probably use photos more than all of y'all.
All right, well, let me start with you, Cadeas, in a dimly lit room. Tell me, Google Plus Photos as a separate thing is going away to be replaced by Google Photos. They say it'll be seamless. All your Google Plus Photos will become Google Photos. Will your Google Plus videos become YouTube videos or Google Photos videos?
Google Photos videos.
Well,
is this?
Well, I'm confused at the difference because it looks like it's the same thing. I mean, I see a UI change, but it's basically the same thing, isn't it?
I have 2 questions. Well, 3 questions. 1, what the fuck is going on? 2, is it a good or a bad thing? I have no idea. And 3, is this in any way a surprise as they continue to part out all the Google Plus stuff?
Well, what do you mean? I'm confused at what you mean because other than the UI change, it's still Google Photos. I'm not seeing this significant difference. Everything is still linked. You still have all your comments. Everything's the same. It's just branding.
This pile of shit is.
Okay, I would love to. I would love to hear it.
All right, so my initial.
Let's go, Alex.
My initial gut
because I love
reaction
Google Plus Photos, and I got everybody down here loving Google Plus Photos. So I need to
enjoy it
know
while
the
it
bag because it's
lasts.
all good from what I can tell.
Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, so let's start with Cadeas' comment because your questions are kind of ridiculous, Dan, but I'll get to them eventually anyway. And I've forgotten what they are. So Cadeas' comments were, what's the difference? I still see comments. Well, you still see comments because you're looking at them in Google+. So you're not seeing Google Photos comments, you're seeing Google Plus comments. If you looked at those photos, if I sent that link that you can get from Google Photos to Facebook, and they went and looked at it, they wouldn't see the comments. Because they're not looking at it through Google Plus, they're looking at it through Google Photos. Clear as mud? Good, because we're just getting started.
Well, how is that a problem, though? I mean, that just makes sense.
Does it? A public album?
Okay.
And
You have a valid concern. I'll give you that. You have a valid concern.
And in fact, that actually goes to one of the other distinctions between Google Photos and Google Plus Photos. In Google Photos, we could get a link that we could hand out, and it would give anyone access to even private photo albums. That's all there is in Google Photos. You either have an album that nobody can see, or you have an album that anyone with the link can see. Using Google Drive's terms, or YouTube terms for that matter, it's visible by anyone with a link.
Okay.
A quick
so
intermediate question. Bradley Horowitz is in charge of. They announced Photos and Streams. So Google Plus Photos is going away to be replaced by Google Photos. Does that mean? Do you think that Google Plus is going to become the Google Stream?
I think that's going to be part of what Google Plus is.
Do you think Google Plus is going to go away and it's going to become the Stream? In other words, we'll still have the main thing.
I think you're asking. Here's the thing. I don't know. You know, I've been saying this only for 4 years now.
I know. That's one of the first things
Google
you
Plus
said.
is going to turn into. It's going to be different than the Google Plus we see today. I think it's still going to have the stream. It's still going to have communities and collections. It's still going to have the social aspect of it. Or sorry, the non-real-time social aspect of it.
So one of my questions was, is this a good or a bad thing? This announcement that we got this week, that Google Plus Photos is going away and it's going to be replaced by Google Photos.
That's complicated because in trying to get them to explain what Google Plus Photos means, they essentially, and that's really what it boils down to, is they made this really vague announcement. And then the next day, Anil, who's the head of Google Photos, came out and clarified that announcement because it made no sense. The clarification basically said that stuff like the photo editor will no longer be working in Google Plus, which makes sense because they have a photo editor on Google Photos. The management page on Google Plus will no longer be there, which makes sense because we have a much better management page on Google Photos. So those, in that sense, that's a good thing. The question is, well, okay, so now we've got these comments attached to albums, but the comments are only visible if you're looking at it from Google Plus, but not Google Photos, and there's no way to get to the Google Plus representation of an album from Google Photos. In fact, it isn't sure how you get to a Google Plus album at all. And what? And there are questions about, well, okay, what about Google Pages? Do they have photo albums? What about photos that are shared between two people in a Hangout? Where do those photos end up? Because they don't end up in Google Photos. There are a lot of questions that aren't answered.
You just pointed out something I didn't realize. Because,
Sure.
oh,
Which one? On which one, Pam?
That photos shared in Hangout aren't in Google Photos?
They're not.
you know, and I haven't looked for that. So I'm glad you brought that up because I will look for that right now while we're talking. Because I'm wondering.
If you need to find it, you'll be able to find it under. You want to guess?
You think there's anybody? You think there's some geek?
I want them to guess where they're going to find it.
Where? I mean, you would find it. I would think you would find it in your Hangouts.
No.
Collections.
You'll find it in Picasso Web.
Oh,
You think there's anyone at Google who knows how to use all their shit?
Now this is a cluster. This is a clusterfuck. That's what this is.
And here's why. I mean, if you think about it too hard, it almost makes sense. It almost, the reason why basically boils down to Google Photos only has the concept of one person owning an album. Picasa Web has had the concept of multiple people having control of an album for more than Google Plus has been alive. So Google Photos can't handle it, but Picasa Web still can. Now,
Okay, so this is interesting.
Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, okay, this is a good sign. That means that Google Photos is built on top of Picasa Web. No, it means exactly the opposite.
Well, now what I found interesting here, I just opened up Hangouts on the computer here, and I clicked on the photo, which it carries you over into Google Plus and takes you into an album. And then when I back out, I see the traditional Google Plus photos.
Right, but that's all going away. Remember?
But so this is going away, and so the question is, I mean, luckily these are photos that are actually in my photo albums. So I guess I don't know what's happening. I actually don't know what would happen. I like this. I like the fact that these are collected based on who I sent them to. So I'm seeing photos that I sent months ago but they're linked to this particular person, and me and him can see these.
Right.
So that's interesting.
And that person have permission to see those. So
Right.
unlike Google Photos, which doesn't actually have a concept of permissions,
Right.
this album has permissions. Now, if you were somebody who's been playing along for a few months now, you would say, hey, wait a minute. Google Drive has permissions, and Google Photos show up in Google Drive, so why aren't they showing up there? And the answer is, who the fuck knows? Really? I mean, who knows? And because nobody at Google is telling.
Obviously a win-win.
Well, outside of that, I think Google Plus Photo or Google Photos has done a really, really good job. Aside from these little things that you've pointed out that I haven't thought of. I mean,
You haven't been on in a while, Cadeus, have you?
I mean, I like the fact that it's not so heavily. At first, it kind of sorry, too many languages in my head. It aggravated me that it was leaving Google Plus, but now that it's actually have left and more people are now actually starting to use it because it's not heavily ingrained into Google Plus, I think that's a good thing. And I love this a lot better than what we had before, minus the few things that you
okay, let's go with that. What about it do you like more than Google than Google Plus Photos?
The fact that it's a separate app, and the fact that you have the ability to share photos with somebody, and then that person has the ability, if they do have a Google Photos account, they have the ability to be able to take possession of those photos.
No. Well, you always had that feature, but okay, that's nice.
No, you haven't. You haven't, because if I shared it with somebody and then I deleted it from my album, the photo is gone from that person. That's how it used to work.
Well,
and
now if you share it with that person and you delete the photo, it's gone.
No, it's not. I shared over 750 photos 2 weeks ago, and I've deleted them because I didn't want any of them. There was someone using my camera. So once I shared it to them and I deleted them out of my account, they still have them in theirs. And we triple checked this once I deleted it. So unless there's something wrong, but that's how it's been working. And I mean, they've been using my cameras for everything, and everything gets synced to my Google Plus, and then I distribute it out to everybody, and they click the little blue cloud, and then next thing you know, it's in their album, and I go through and delete everything, and it's good.
Okay, so they copied it to their album.
Right, they're clicking the blue, blue cloud.
Right, so they copied it to their album.
Right, so before we didn't even have that feature.
Yeah, we did, but. Keep going.
What else? It must have been so buried that nobody could find it. But I mean, I like that.
There were lots of things that were buried. I mean, some of these features that we have, the fact that we can share links and only allow people to have access to it based on the link, that's been there for 3 years.
But I really think the UI is designed really, really well for mobile devices. And I mean, I haven't used it very much on the desktop, but for what I've used it for, I've liked what I've seen. I like it a lot better than what we had.
That's the one advantage, is it has certain UI improvements. It also has some serious UI drawbacks, but overall, I think the improvements are better. It's got some serious screw-ups when it comes to the UI.
Sai says, clearly not the same product. I'm very near my quota and do not own a 16 megapixel or better camera. All my settings are set to high quality as opposed to original quality. Checking for used quota under drive shows only 1 gigabyte of storage quota used. There's space
Oh, yeah,
calculations.
it's
Quota
got
thing is
serious
broken.
bugs, too. Serious bugs.
Oh, I was gonna say it's the same for me. I haven't changed the setting from high quality since they switched over and gave us unlimited storage, and it's also eating up the storage.
It's eating it. I mean, there are lots of people reporting that it's eating up storage, that they can't find where it's eating up storage, and the only way to fix it appears to be download everything and re-upload everything.
And see, I have the 1 terabyte, so I haven't even experienced this problem. Actually,
Right,
that
I
answers
haven't
the
either.
question.
How
Someone else had this problem. They were showing it to me, and I didn't know the answer. Wow.
There is no answer. It's a bug, and nobody at Google's acknowledged it. Yeah, Pam. Sorry.
How can you re-upload the pictures? I've deleted them off my phone because that's what's synced. The camera syncs to the phone,
Right.
and then the phone syncs to my Google account.
Right.
So if I delete all the pictures and then how do I re-upload them?
Re-upload it, download and re-upload it from desktop.
How do you upload pictures into Photos from desktop? I haven't been
There's
able
a
to
little
do that.
cloud icon with an up arrow.
Or you can just drag it into
Or
the
just
window,
drag
like
it in.
Oh, okay. All right.
or use the Google Photos auto upload.
No, don't use
application.
no. Don't use the Google Photo Uploader.
What's wrong with that? Because I use that on the daily.
That's that might be part of what's causing the problems.
I don't think I have that set for my desktop.
Because that uploader hasn't been significantly updated since Picasso Web.
Oh well, videos that I've been taking, I've been pushing them up that way because of the internet speed, and I do it overnight.
Right,
and
it
it's
works,
perfect.
and people have have said that it works fine, but other people have been reporting problems with it.
I wonder if there's Mac versus Windows issues too. So, because I do it on the Mac side.
The Mac one has been considered even worse from what I've read, but I don't use either. I tell it to upload 1,000 photos at a time. But here's the thing, when you're talking about the great UI, the UI is pretty good when you're dealing with a library of a few thousand photos and you take a couple of hundred photos a day. You take a couple of thousand photos a day and the UI falls apart.
Well, right now I have 42,000 photos in mine, and I have 0 problems.
I'm at 55,000 photos, and I am adding on the
And
order
you're
of
having problems?
What was that?
You're having problems?
Well, the problems that I'm having, though, are that it only goes down to the scope of a day. If I'm looking for, something that happened at noon, I have to scroll through several hundred photos.
On the lack of scalability, I would equate it to Google Contacts, because Google Contacts, if you have just a few, you're fine. But in my case, I think I have 14,000 or 17,000 or something, and it just doesn't work. I go to contacts.google.com and it crashes.
And Cadeas, here's the other thing. Let me make something clear first, though. This can handle 55,000 photos way better than Google Plus Photos could. Google Plus Photos was just pathetic. This is really where they did a major improvement, and I will give them full credit on making this smooth and fast and responsive, and on the mobile one, almost friendly to use. But then do something like upload 1,000 photos to an album, and you no longer have that same UI on the album. So the album UI is different than the whole photo list UI. Why they did that is beyond me. Because it actually means they had to program 2 different widgets.
Mm-hmm.
And any programmer would say that is the dumbest thing on the planet.
They had 2 different people working on it. That's probably what it is, and then they
Almost
pushed them
certainly.
together.
Right, but somewhere nobody thought, At any rate.
Is this reinvention, Alan? I remember a famous story Aldus sold PageMaker to Adobe, which was a way to make newspapers or whatever. And then Adobe looked at the code and said, "This is so kludgy and screwed up that we're going to just start over." And they created InDesign because they couldn't fix it. Is that what's going on here? Because Google Plus is notoriously bloated. Notoriously bloated.
That is some of what is going on here, is that Picasso Web turned into the Google Plus code, and they did a total rewrite. And sometimes a total rewrite's an appropriate thing to do, and it might have been an appropriate thing to do in this case. The problem is, in doing so, they only dropped like 95% of the features that Google Plus had. So, is it worth it to drop 95% of the features to fix one feature?
Oh my God. Okay, so someone's trolling me on Meerkat. You guys are still talking about Google Plus. I'm in the Twilight Zone. I will eat a goat cheese pizza from Target. So I think we have more viewers on Meerkat. We have more viewers. We have 2 more viewers on Meerkat than we do on Google Plus.
It's
or on
called
YouTube.
Google Plus Week. What the hell are we supposed to be talking about?
No, I just think it's hilarious that I've got an iPhone aimed at my computer, and we have had 33 people visit, 7 live now. And he said, "I'm not trolling you. I'm Charlie Ellingson, Buddha Charlie. So anyway, I just think it's hilarious that we have more viewers on my iPhone than we do on YouTube. That's funny. But we'll get more on YouTube later. All right, so everything's great. Google Plus is here to stay. It's the new thing. All the cool kids. We wasted like 5 years of our lives, I fear. Oh, my God. I don't know. I've changed the name of the show before.
The program in Turbo Pascal, I just remind you.
I did. Turbo 6.0 with assembler for the graphics, assembly language.
Talk about a waste of your life.
Nobody can read a phone book like an assembler programmer. All right. So, to be determined, I guess, is the answer to all of my questions.
Oh, what were the rest of your questions? So I can make fun of them some more.
I saw it, and it's like, Bon Voyage, Google Plus Photos. Welcome, Google Photos. So I'm thinking, I really wasn't sure if this is a good or bad thing. I guess it's a good thing. But it does seem like they're parting Google Plus out. And it seems like when first it was Vic and Dotra, then it was Bez. Bez was in charge of Google Plus, and then now there's no one in charge of Google Plus. There's Bradley, who's in charge of photos and streams. And
that's Google Plus. Come on.
Right, but now there's Google Photos. There's no more Google Plus Photos, so it makes me wonder if Google. Basically, it's almost like they're tweaking everything and getting rid of the Plus moniker because it has a negative connotation.
Duh.
You know, the new MySpace. All right, and then Google Photos is going on a multi-city tour, wants to give you free grub for using Photos. So they're feeding people now to use their products.
This has got to be the strangest marketing campaign I think
At least
I've
Donald
heard.
Trump gave his audience $50, hard cash.
So the story with this is that they are sending food trucks around, and the first stop for the food trucks are going to be in New York City next week. And although the details aren't quite clear, it sounds like that if they're going to give you a search term, and if you can find your search term on your Google Photos, you get lunch, waffles. I don't know. It's not clear. It'll be interesting to see. I think it's I don't know. It's an interesting marketing campaign, although I think it's pretty clear that they really have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Charlie says he's
Certainly
always loved Google Photos, even love it more now that it stands on it. I'm guessing he means that it's standalone.
Who wrote that?
Charlie Ellingson.
I don't know if Charlie could elaborate what was good about it now. That would be great to hear, because, well, it would be great to hear. Always good. I mean, there are things that I like about Google Photos.
We now have more than twice as many live viewers on Meerkat watching my phone than
Look, do we want to
on
get
YouTube.
into how YouTube Live is fucking themselves over? Because we can do that too.
Sure. Now they're live tweeting our Meerkat thing. This is hilarious. So yeah, go ahead, Alan. Let loose.
On what? YouTube Live screwing themselves over?
Yeah. You talking about the game
Look,
thing?
here's the thing. Why? We still don't have, a live mobile client. If they did, they would be, pitching it against Meerkat like there was no tomorrow. But there isn't. There's no discovery. There isn't going to be discovery except if you're a gamer. Fine, whatever. YouTube just, ceded the high ground to Twitter and Meerkat.
Yeah, Meerkat. Meerkat
Yeah,
rocks.
fine, great, whatever.
All right.
Here's the thing. Eli and I had a small debate this week about who was the target audience for Google Photos. And I said, based on their advertising, Google Photos appears to be aiming themselves at people who take photos so they can blackmail their friends later over dinner. And Eli pretty much agreed with me, although he spun them slightly differently. That's a pretty narrow market in my mind. But then again, it occurs to me, this is the exact same market that's doing meerkats and periscopes. And yet YouTube sees themselves as these highfalutin we cater to creators. We are there for the creators. Yeah, whatever.
Oh my God. All right, so we've gone from British crescent rolls to croissants. All right. Okay,
Monsieur.
so
Monsieur, I have not used a French accent at all.
you don't sound like a Frenchman. You sound like what's the very
Because I
polite?
almost failed my French class. What are you talking about? I can't speak with a French accent at all.
You sound like Pepe Le Pew. Was that
Gee,
the?
thanks.
And you're wearing a black and white shirt, so more evidence. All right. Google dumps ISP email support. Virgin Media takes a ball, stomps home. No clickbait headline there. So what's that about? This is the Allen Show tonight.
I guess, although we do have two other panelists and co-hosts tonight.
Well, if they want to submit topics, how come you can't? How come multiple people can't go to a collection? Oh, because then it would be a community.
Right.
I hate the collection. You know why I hate the collection, Alan Furstenberg? I know you're dying for me to tell you. I
I'm
hate it
dying for you to
because
tell me.
for me to get to it, I go to Google Plus, then I have to type in the search thing, right? And then I have to go to Allen, and then I, type ALLEN space FIRS, and then it finds you, right? Even though like on a daily basis we communicate, and then I click to you, and then I wait, 30 seconds for it to load your page. Then I find the collection. I click there. Then I wait 30 seconds.
Wait.
Go ahead, Pam.
Okay. Here's a really easy way to do that. You click on Alan's collection,
Right.
and you click the little bookmark button.
I know, but I'd rather bitch about it. 2 more viewers, and we'll have 3 times as many on Meerkat. This is almost insulting. It's awesome, but it's hilarious.
It's insulting.
No, it's insulting to YouTube
People are
Live.
choosing to spend their Friday nights watching you on Meerkat.
One more. If somebody gets one more viewer, if we get one more viewer on Meerkat, we'll have 3 times the viewers on my phone. That's hilarious. This is awesome. Thank you all for watching. If you guys want to, I don't know how to use it. Charlie, could you tell me if I see if there's tweets to me, they're showing up. I don't know if it's like a separate comment thing. I don't know how to reply. Or I'm seeing comments. I'm trying to figure out how to use this thing. I've used it one time before. I've tried Periscope.
Who's Charlie?
Charlie Ellingson. He's watching on Meerkat.
Okay.
He's one of 14 viewers on Meerkat. So
This is all showing up on your stream, or
it
your
just
Twitter
okay.
or
We have
whatever the fuck
15
you
now.
call
It says 68 people have checked it out. 69. That's when Pam giggles whenever I say 69. And then there's 16 here now watching live on Meerkat. If you guys want to, I don't know how you comment, but let me know, Charlie. If they just comment there, it shows up as a tweet. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm not the computer expert Alan thinks I am. That's 17 now. This is incredible. This is funny. It's growing like a virus, like the Trump fandom club. I think Alan is a closet Trump fan. Okay, so Charlie's typing on YouTube. I don't understand what's going on. All right.
So what else is new?
Yeah. Did you do the ISP thing?
No, you got distracted.
Okay, so hey, what's up, Brad? Everyone watch Tech Webcast. Techwebcast.info. They're all watching on Meerkat. Oh my God, there's now four times as many watching on Meerkat as on YouTube Live. This is funny. All right, so literally 4 times as many. Google dumps ISP email support. Virgin Media takes the ball and stomps home.
Yeah, Google fucked up.
Wow. Let me note the date and time here. Get my pen here.
Yeah, but Gmail fucked up this time. This is just fucking rude
Yikes.
and stupid. I mean, here's the thing. They, a few years back, they went to ISPs and said, "Look, why do you want to run an email service? Let us run it for you. It's Gmail. It'll be branded with your company name. Use your email addresses. It'll be fine. It'll be great." And this week, Google said, recently Google said, "Yeah, we're ending that because you're not paying us enough." Well, I don't know why they said it, but they said they're ending the program. So I don't know. Why the hell would Google do that? Do they not want people to use their services or something? I don't understand.
Okay. Let's pretend that I didn't really listen to you just then. So, because I was meerkatting with my new friends. Just for purposes of argument,
Oh my
let's say I
God,
was
you
not
got-
perfectly tuned in. So
Oh
what?
my
I don't understand. They dumped
goodness.
ISP email support. Are you talking about they had like free Gmail, like with an Android phone? What the hell is it? What's the?
Well, basically, what it was is that okay, Dan, when you sign up with an ISP, ISPs give you an email address.
Okay, so I get
So-
danmcdermott.net. I buy it from
No,
GoDaddy or whoever.
No, you would get something like Dan
Dan
McDermott
McDermott at Cox.net.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Pam. Pam needs a spell checker on that one. So at Cox.net or Cablevision or Comcast. Okay, so they were giving a white label version of Gmail or apps, and
Exactly.
it would say Comcast on it, but really it was. So they're ending that. Why did they couldn't come to terms, and so they're going to go with some other solution, or?
They're not saying why, but apparently Google is pulling the plug on the project. I'm guessing because not too many companies signed up with it, and it stopped becoming worth it to them. Although, if they're giving Gmail away for free, why isn't it worth it to them for some company to pay them for it? I don't understand.
Right.
Maybe there's a reason, but I don't get it.
Because Gmail is a pretty rock solid product, I think.
Yeah.
Although Yahoo Mail is getting better, I got to say. And I have publicly trashed them many times. Okay. Introducing the Google Drive plugin for Microsoft Office. Before I do this, I'm going to preface by saying I saw a tweet from John C. Dvorak, and he got the new Dell XP something super duper laptop. Apparently, it's the best Windows laptop, and he said he just got it, and it's got Windows 10, and he said "Wow" in all caps, and he's going to write a column for PC Magazine Wednesday about it. But I'm hearing good things about Windows 10 and the whole touch thing. You think 8 was like, Windows Vista, and they finally, or 7, because I heard 8 wasn't that bad once you got used to it. But do you think they finally got their act together? And a lot of people are still using Microsoft Office. So what's the deal with the Google Drive plugin for Microsoft Office? And what do you think about Windows 10 in general, Alan?
I don't know. I'm not using. Not going to.
When
As for Windows Office for Drive, it's interesting. It's kind of they're Microsoft and Google are sparring at each other. Basically saying, hey, we can be just as interoperable with you as anything else. And I want everyone to know that Dan McDermott actually has green hair underneath this. This is just a toupee. He is listening.
It's not St. Patrick's Day, when that's entirely possible. Daniel
I
Patrick
don't.
McDermott.
This is interesting. Although I've seen people raise questions about what happens with multiple people trying to edit the document at the same time. There are lots of issues, but it's an interesting swipe that Google is making against Microsoft's cloud offerings, and they need to, because Microsoft is still wiping Google up in the cloud offering space.
I got a couple comments. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, Charlie. He said he's got a Charlie. He's commenting on YouTube. He said he's always liked Google Photos, and he says, Dan, I'm restreaming on Meerkat, and I am number 47 on the leaderboard. I didn't know there was one, but that's awesome.
I checked you out on Meerkat, and I was trying to figure out how to silence the audio there, so I could follow along the chat without actually having to listen to you.
A sentiment most of our viewers probably share on a regular basis. He said, so it's connected via Twitter like Periscope. He says, I like now that the photos automatically place folders in Drive. One of the most irritating things was if I would upload a photo. Go ahead.
Here's the problem with this whole putting photos in Drive thing. For starters, we had that under Google Plus Photos. Although it clearly was building up to this. Second is that the connection between Drive and Google Photos is unclear. So if you delete something from Drive, it gets deleted from Photos. If you edit something from Drive, it doesn't get edited in Photos. If you move it around in Drive, that's fine, because Photos doesn't really care where it's located. You put it into an album on Photos, it doesn't show up in a new folder on Drive, so the album structure isn't preserved. It's really and as we discussed earlier, if you have photos that you share with another person in a Hangout, those don't show up on either Photos or Drive. They show up in Picasa Web still. So this is still Charlie Foxtrot. When things looked like they were moving to Drive, it looked like, great, we're going to have Drive as the unified interface for all of this stuff. And it looks like that's not happening. So who knows what's going on. Pam?
Do they still have Picasa up and running?
Yeah.
Craig uses it.
In fact, it's going to be left up and running when Google Plus Photos goes away.
One of the things is trying to find an embeddable slideshow that works on mobile and works on your website, right? For like our website, warrencountyva.com, frederickcounty.com, if we want to put a slideshow in there, that's a real problem. What I find myself doing now is I'll just take a still and just have them click that, and it redirects to Flickr for the slideshow. And Flickr's no joke. And they just announced that they're reopening Flickr Pro. They're raising the price. I think it was like $30. Now it's going to be $50, but we get it for 2 more years at the old price. And also there's some new thingies. So I'm glad Marissa Meyer's doing that. I see people are Blink FM has restreamed us. Thank you. So I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. We now have 5 times as many watching on Meerkat. This is great. So you guys can comment, and I'll see them. More comments from Charlie on YouTube. He says check out blab.im. It's like, and he says Dropbox is the best for photos. He thinks. Charlie says, I've gone all Apple for the most part, but iCloud Photos sucks because it still wants to use but optimize the local storage on the iPhone while I pay $10 per month for my Dropbox. I have Android. I have an iPhone and an iPad, and I have an Android phone and a Nexus tablet. So I see both. There are pros and cons to both. There's no denying Apple makes a great phone and tablet. Charlie says, to me, it's a ripoff of Hangouts, but it's connected to Twitter. I think he's talking about blab.im.
Yeah, he also then goes on, my feeling is Google killed Hangouts when they took away the public Hangouts. They didn't really take away the public Hangouts. They're still there. They just don't advertise them the same way. And as Charlie then notes again in his next comment, the reason why things changed was because people were, you had flashers that were joining, and that's all they were doing.
Yeah, Charlie mentions that. He says it only allows 4 seats. John, hang on one sec. I'm going to get to yours in a sec. It only allows 4 seats, and a major updated today that people here are mostly from Meerkat, but some Hangout people that you guys would know are there. And he says it is to get rid of the Mideastern penis showers. My feeling is Google killed Hangouts when they took away the public Hangouts. I agree. I haven't done a public Hangout in probably 2+ years. I have played with Hangouts on my computer recently, and from feature standpoint, it blows everything out of the water. I think all of us met each other in a public Hangout, literally, except Alan, who was angry at me. Also, Dan, don't believe the numbers on Meerkat. There are still ghost viewers, and they are working on them. Okay, so it was fun while it lasted. John Jensen says he thinks iCloud sucks. And
iCloud has serious issues. I mean, Apple, the question people asked for a long time is, will Google learn design faster than Apple will learn cloud networking? And the answer so far seems to be yes. Cloud's got a long way to go.
They're good at getting hacked.
What was that?
They're good at getting hacked.
That's not fair to them, but
the fappening comes to mind.
As for Hangouts being more feature filled, yes, but we haven't seen. Part of it was we haven't seen major adoption, and we haven't seen major features in a number of ways. We saw this bizarre, and I think what we started seeing was conflict between 2 different groups inside Google, the Hangouts group and the YouTube Live group. And because of that, both sides are suffering. So we've not seen a major update to Hangout video chats in 2 years now. There was an API beta channel update 6 months ago.
I get messages that I'm out of iCloud because it wants to throw everything on everything, right? It wants to stick it on all my devices. And both my iPad and my iPhone are 128 gigs, but I don't know whatever I get the default with iCloud is what I have. So I think that's fine for your contacts and things like that, your text messages. And I'm still learning. I mean, they go, they disappear after 30 days, I think, or something, which is a new thing. So anyway, and then one comment was, I forget. Oh my God, it's blowing up everywhere. I mean, I can't. I'm getting comments everywhere, and I can't figure it out. So, Chris Pirillo said a couple of years ago that Apple makes the best Google phone on the planet. LOL. And all right, so let me look for any other Google Plus comments. Meerkat Week in Review. Time to rebrand. There you go. That could be it. I'm curious for folks who have used Meerkat and Periscope, what your thoughts are on each of them. Because I noticed I asked Duke Carrico, he prefers Meerkat. Brad from techwebcast.info prefers Meerkat. But then I assumed everyone was using Periscope. because that was the one that Twitter bought and favored and like shut Meerkat sort of out of some of their abilities. But apparently Meerkat's got a whole thing. Oh, Charlie said that Meerkat's real in touch with their user base. The people who run it are just, one DM away, which is a far cry from Twitter, which I find aloof and arrogant. I'm not a big fan, although I use it a lot, but I'm not a fan of the way they treat people. So Jonathan Jensen says he thinks Periscope's better. I'm curious if you guys could comment, if you can fit it in a tweet or on YouTube or Plus or whatever, but tell me why you prefer one or the other. I'm just curious, and I'll look at these after because I'm getting stuff from a bunch of different places and I'm kind of losing my mind what little there is left on Print Week. So, all right, while we do that, let's go to Google is giving free patents to startups to fight patent trolls. And real quick, Alan, on this topic, what's the deal? I saw a couple stories about the Oracle Google battle. What's the status of that? If you're up on that, I didn't have a link to it, but didn't something happen? And then I guess Oracle just switched law firms today.
No, we covered this a few months ago. The Supreme Court, I believe, refused to rule on it. Refused to rule on it or ruled on it? Either way, it sent it down to a lower court. And basically said, in what I think was a bad ruling, that APIs were copyrightable. And therefore, it sent it back to a lower court to evaluate a different part of the case.
I thought there was a new thing in the last couple weeks.
Not that I'm aware of, but it's possible.
Okay. Pam, were you saying something? I'm sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
I know nothing about the story.
What do you want to talk about, Pam? What's going on in Menifee? Are you on fire? Every couple of years, your house burns down, right? From the news, you'd think this is the third generation of the whatever. What do you call it? The thing outside.
The thing outside?
The little sub building. It's not a garage. What's it called? It's a thing you often are in.
Oh, the casita?
Yeah, the casita. Doesn't yours
I'm
burn
in
down?
bed. I'm in bed right now.
Well, ka-ching. What's the biggest story in Menifee?
The mayor of Marietta is being charged with sexual assault
Of
some female that he met at some conference, some mixer.
what did you think of that awful thing with Gawker? That did you see the story where they outed an executive who had tried to pick up a male prostitute? So he's married, right? So he's trying to pay some guy $2,500 for sex. So he's in some sort of closet, right? Or I guess a couple closets because he's married. And he, they ran a big story on it, and there was this tremendous outlash on Twitter and all over social media against Gawker. And then they were like, oh, and then, so what's his name? Nick Denton pulls the story. Then the editorial board says that they're outraged that he would pull the story for business concerns and that there should be some wall between journalists and the management. My thought was, fuck you. I'm paying your salaries. If I'm going to pull a story, that's it. I publish the newspaper. If I think you're out of line, if you've acted wrong, I'm going to kill the story. You can kiss my ass and quit if you don't like it. That was my gut reaction. But maybe that's wrong. Were you guys familiar with this?
No, but the fact that someone caved to some bullshit social media opinion and pulled a story, if
I
it
think
was
they
a
were right to do
congressman,
that, though, because here's the deal. He wasn't a public figure. His brother was a former cabinet member of President Obama, but he was just a CFO of some corporation. Nobody had ever heard of this guy. but because his brother was a former cabinet member, they're outing him on Gawker, and they're like, you know, why? I mean, he's a public figure is one thing. You know, you can say what you want about Obama, but you can't say that about the gardener who works at your neighbor's house publicly on Gawker. He could sue your ass because
He could if it's not true.
Well, I mean, if there's anything in there that's not true, they're screwed, like Hulk Hogan screwed. Anyway, I wish you guys had read this, but obviously I didn't prepare you for it. So, all right. So, are we talking about free patents, or has Alan talked about that?
Alan wants to talk about Ashley Madison.
No, Alan does not want to talk about Ashley Madison. Alan is just surprised that Dan didn't do something stupid like ask you about Ashley Madison.
I saw. Who's the guy? Oh God, he's so funny. Who's the guy who replaced Colbert? What's his name? The black guy on Comedy Central replaced Colbert. He's so funny. He said he talked about the Ashley Madison thing, and he said there's a controversy about a hack into Ashley Madison, a website that helps men commit adultery. And all the men out there have just heard there's a website that helps you commit adultery. That's all the men heard. Yeah, that was a crazy thing. Ashley Madison is a site that apparently has like 37 million users. I mean, it's a big deal. And it helps you hook up, you know, on the down low. And someone hacked in and said they stole all the information, all the names, and they said, you're going to shut it down or we're going to release all the names. So it was like a Robin Hood type thing, I guess. I don't know. We're really in the gutter. Have we mentioned Donald Trump? We're doing a Donald Trump segment tonight. While we're whoring ourselves out there, let's go all out. So Alan is, what's the free patents to startups to fight patent trolls?
Yeah, basically Google is offering companies the right to use their patents, which is, you know, not too far off of stuff that they've promised in the past. And in exchange, they're basically, as I understand it, getting rights to basically getting it so that these companies don't then sue Google in return for violation of other patents, and giving Google access to any patents that they may generate. So it's basically creating a new patent pool.
Okay.
You can go to the next topic now, Dan.
I have a question, Alan. I'm no patent troll fan, but I am a copyright holder. What is the difference between a patent troll and the estate of Tolkien controlling what happens with The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Well, there are two differences, although you're now actually getting into a point where...
That's a sincere question. A sincere question.
No, it's a sincere question. I think one of the things you'll see is that a lot of people who have problems with the current state of patent law also have problems the state of copyright law. So you're not exactly going to get... It's an apt comparison. In particular, copyright law now seems to have extended beyond what its original intent was. Because originally you couldn't... Copyright did not extend past the death of the creator. So, you know, exactly why that got extended has various reasons to it. As for what the difference is, though, between the two, a patent troll, their sole purpose is not to actually use the patent themselves. It is to sell the patent to others, or basically to come up with ideas that they can then essentially have exploit the work of others. So I can come up with a patent, not actually try to do anything to get it to market, and when someone else comes along that has done the hard work to bring something to market, I can now sponge off of their work.
Yet
That's
Google,
different.
so Google
That's
is the great
different.
defender
Dan, let me
against.
finish. Dan,
I'm
Dan,
sorry.
you asked me a question. I'd like to finish answering the question.
Yes, sir. Because you never interrupt me. Go ahead.
The estate controlling the copyright assets.
Uh-huh.
The difference there is that they're still. It's not that they're preventing others from doing their work.
Of course they are. You can't write fan fiction; they'll sue you.
You can probably write fan fiction because that becomes a parody, and that's covered under U.S. But
You can't
no, you
profit from
can't
it, right?
But here's the thing. It's not so much you can't write fan fiction, but they have still done all of the hard work in creating the material, creating the character, creating that, and now they are under law exploiting that creation. Under a patent troll, did not do all of the hard work.
What's the difference
They're just
between?
exploiting.
Okay, let me further it to a more.
However, I would fundamentally say there isn't that big a difference, but that's what I would say the difference is between the two.
Here's a better example. Michael Jackson bought the rights to some of the Beatles back catalog, and I think Sony owns the rights to some of that, and whoever owns the rights to the Michael Jackson catalog, Michael Jackson did not continue to create Beatles songs because no one could do that. Yet he could still license and sue someone who was using Beatles songs. I don't see a technical difference in that and a patent troll. And for Google to say, oh, we're defending against patent trolls, why the hell do they buy Motorola except to get the patents? I think this is a real gray area. It's like the famous Supreme Court statement about kiddie porn versus a cute picture of your kid in a bubble bath. You know, I can't define kiddie porn, but I know it when I see it. You know what I mean?
Well, two things. One, you could argue that Google bought Motorola or got Motorola's patents as a defensive measure because they were being pummeled with the patents that Apple had secured. But the answer is really they didn't end up with Motorola's patents. Motorola ended up with Motorola's patents.
So, I don't know. I just think it's, one person's troll is another person's Michael Jackson buying the Beatles catalog or.
No, I mean, again, the difference is in the matter of who did the work. Buying someone else, most patent trolls, they're buying someone else's work, but that person themselves didn't even do work. They came up with an idea, they patented the idea, and then rather than actively try to do something with that idea, which is the point of a patent, they basically said, great, now I have the patent, I'll wait until somebody else does the hard work and then get money from them.
But
the only reason why they're doing it is to exploit money, is basically to get money from someone else doing the hard work.
What is the definition of value? If you invent the light bulb and
no, but
you
Dan,
get a
no,
patent
Dan,
on
Dan,
that,
Dan,
you
Dan,
have
Dan,
value,
Dan,
and one of the ways to
Dan,
recoup value is to sell the rights to it, so you don't have to keep making the light bulbs.
The problem, though, is these days people aren't inventing light bulbs. They're inventing concepts of light bulbs. So they're inventing the concept of a ball which is powered by something besides fuel oil that generates light. They are not specifying what the material is.
Yeah, there's
They're
that,
not
and there's also
specifying the
it's something
electricity.
that's
They're not specifying that it's in a glass ball. They're not specifying anything. They're specifying a concept.
or
and patenting that.
or it's something that we've always done, but now it's done on a computer. But I think the Supreme Court
Well,
kind of
Supreme
weighed
Court
on.
ruled against that already. So they
I don't know.
finally
It's just
knocked
tough
that
to
one down.
say. I don't know how you could have sweeping patent troll reform, right? Without, the old cliche, throw the baby out with the bathwater, without saying that Michael Jackson couldn't own the Beatles catalog, or
Well, I think-
you can't be stopped from writing the fourth
Dan, that
book
one's a
in the Lord of the
false
Rings.
That one's a false equivalency because patents and copyrights are two completely different creatures.
And how come you can have a patent for something and not be making it anymore, but just enforce the patent. But the same doesn't apply to a trademark. If you stop using the trademark, you
Because
lose
they're
it.
completely different creatures, and they serve completely different purposes. A trademark, if you give up a trademark, you're basically saying, I don't care that I cannot be identified by this anymore. A trademark's an identification. So
Okay.
protecting a trademark is protecting your identity.
Right.
Protecting a patent is protecting what we would call what we think of as a method of doing something.
Okay.
So they're two different entities completely. But then but then you can start asking the question. I mean, it's in the same way that, why is it that the copyrights can last for 95 years and growing, but a patent can only last for 14 years?
Okay.
Okay.
John Jensen, at Blink FM on Twitter, he says, did Google even acknowledge Plus's 4th birthday? Did they? I don't know.
Jonathan made a post about it, yes.
Well, obviously.
Jonathan
That's
being the
yeah.
chief engineer for it.
Okay. So no is the answer to your question, John.
They haven't acknowledged any birthday really since the first one, where they threw a party for 6,000 people.
What's this crazy thing? They're going to Greece. Did you see that? Or no, they're going to Sicily. No, where the hell are they going? They're renting ancient Greek ruins to have some sort of Davos type convention. And apparently all sorts of Beckham's going, and I don't know.
If I knew what you were talking about, I might be able to answer.
Apparently there's some annual gathering of people, and Google's literally rented out some ancient Greek ruins, and they're all going to hang out, and they've blocked.
So what are we calling this? A Greek bailout fund? What?
I'm sure Greeks will take the money. Okay, so next is Neon Prescription, or rather new transcription for Google Voice. That has always been one of the weak points in Voice, is some of the hilarious and just terrifically bad transcriptions you would get. Although that was the killer feature that caused me to go to Voice, was that you could get a voicemail, and instead of having to listen to it, you would get an email that said, Alan, hey Dan, this is Alan. I'm going to be 15 minutes late for the show tonight. Start without me, or whatever it is. But it would be wildly screwed up, incomprehensible. So what are they doing, and how are they doing it?
Well, basically, the big thing with Google these days is Google is all about the deep neural networks. And they basically said, hey, we've just made an improvement with Google Voice. It's tied to some more deep neural network learning. They tossed around a few buzzwords, and supposedly voice transcription is even better than it used to be. Haven't tested it personally. And yeah, it was pretty bad before. But hopefully this is an improvement. And it's good to see, for a product they're really not making a lot of money on, it's good to see little improvements like this. Have you tried using the voice transcription recently, Pam?
Never used it.
Never used it.
In fact, every single time I accidentally click on the little microphone, I'm like, oh shit, how do I get out of it? So, nope. Well, I have no reason to use it. Why would I?
I don't know. I was asking. It's fine. Oh. And Dan had walked off camera, so
yeah. more the latter than the former.
I think it's more because I'm uncomfortable using it. I'm uncomfortable trying it out or taking the time to work with it when I have a keyboard. You know what I mean? Rather than.
Well, then how about for incoming messages that might come in with Google Voice or something? Do you use Google Voice?
I have a Google Voice phone number.
But nobody calls you on it.
Yeah, no one has my phone number. You have my phone number, and Dan has my phone number, and Cadeas has my phone number. And maybe 10 other people on the planet have my phone number.
Pam and I text
That's about
sometimes. Late at night.
I can't imagine you holding your attention that long, Dan. I gotta say what I gotta say in the first sentence, otherwise.
Oh my God.
Uh,
All right. Yeah, I've totally lost control of the comments or lost track. All right, so that happened. So we're all excited about the new transcription. You have reached the end of the internet. All right, an update. Oh,
I wanted to quote this comment from Sai.
okay.
So, could I create a working version of Photos or Wallet and market it as a parody? No, you can't, because making a parody of something that's already a parody is really, really tough.
Oh my God, that's epic. I just think my whole thing was that part of inventing something, you see George Foreman on these TV commercials. Do you have a great idea for an invention? And I think it's that Invention Submission Corporation. They keep changing their name every few years after the lawsuit.
Oh God, George Foreman is hawking for Invention Submission Corporation.
I swear to God, the Foreman girl is pretty badass. But the whole thing is, one of the reasons you want to invent something is that you can sell it to some big company that can capitalize on it. But then, of course, that wouldn't be a patent troll because they're actually making it. All right, the topic we've all been waiting for. There's an update on the autocomplete application programming interface, aka API, to use an acronym to introduce a second acronym. So, Dr. Furstenberg.
I'm so proud of you, Dan, that you actually knew what API was this week.
I knew it a year ago when you quizzed me. Jonathan is laughing. We have literally over 7 times as many people watching on Meerkat as on YouTube Live. Oh my God, that's funny. All right, and far more comments on Meerkat. Okay, so Alan, tell me about this exciting news about the autocomplete API.
This is a quick one. So basically, if you use Google, you can start typing in something like famous, and it would, suggest, famous people, famous programming languages, famous cities, stuff like that. There's an API behind this. So in theory, if I use, if I figured out this API, I could use it to do auto-completion for my own web pages or my own programs. This, however, was not an officially published API. And Google could revoke it at any time. And they're now announcing that they're going to be revoking it in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, the API will either go away or be changed in some way to prevent it from being used by outsiders. In some ways, this shouldn't be a surprise. If you're using Google's APIs that aren't supposed to be public, you're lucky they're giving you 2 weeks' notice that it's going away. On the other hand, this is a nice feature, and it's a shame that Google is taking it away. And it's pissing a couple of people off. That's the story.
Okay. Told as only you can. Yeah. Okay, so
Well,
next.
I didn't use any curse words this time.
Huh?
I didn't use any curse words.
Next is on our family-friendly program. Oh my God! I just deleted the freaking topics. Holy.
Now who's cursing?
Okay. Fixed. Thank God for Control Z. Okay, next is new Google Maps with Google Maps timeline. Oh, I saw that. That was kind of cool, except it wasn't cognizant of all the times I've been somewhere. It might say I've only been somewhere twice when I go there like once a week. That was kind of weird.
Well, when you turn your phone off to go to the local brothel, there's a reason why it can't track you there.
Well, I refuse to affirm or deny.
So this is a feature that just started rolling out with the new Google Maps on the phone. You can also access it from the desktop. what they're calling the timeline. If you remember, they used to have a feature that was part of Maps, and then it got moved away and got moved back, that would that would let you look at your location and adjust your physical location on a map. They've now extended this and said, hey, when we see you in this location, we think this is the business or the house or the person or whatever that you're visiting. And you can give it a name if it doesn't already have a name. You can confirm whether you visited a particular business or not. If you took photos while you were there, the photos now get pulled into this timeline. So you'll see photos that were taken as part of the timeline. This is actually beginning of a really, really good integration between maps, location data, and photos. And I think this is a really good start and a good approach to it. There are some glitches. I think the UI on the desktop has some problems. And the old one, it used to be that you'd be able to drag the mouse along and you'd be able to see exactly where on the map it corresponded to over time. That's not quite there anymore. But overall, this is a really, really nice new tool. It is a new tool, but it's based on an older tool of theirs with a radical redesign.
What is the practical application other than, oh, that's cool?
You can use it as a memory aid to help you locate where you've been. This also now feeds into stories, so hopefully the location accuracy of stories might be improved. It lets you, it learns the names of places that you've been. So for example, I can now identify, it says, here's where we think you are, and I can say, no, that's my parents' house. So now, hopefully in the future, I'll be able to say something like navigate to my parents' house. Moscone Center West, for some reason, isn't on Google Maps. Who knows why? But now I can set this as a private place so that it knows when I'm out at I.O., hey, I was at Moscone West, not at, Metreon, which is across the street. It improves the knowledge, and it improves my personalized maps. And that goes a long way to creating personalized information that's part of Google.
All right.
Can be funny.
And I just saw this on my little Twitter timeline. This is a New York Post story called YouTube, as you know, it might be a thing of the past. And it says YouTube's exploding mobile traffic is creating a new source of friction between the world's #1 content distributor and the music industry, numerous sources told the Post. Universal, Sony, and Warner execs believe YouTube's grip on free ad-supported music videos needs to be loosened by supporting rival sites like Vessel and Snapchat, sources at each of the labels said. Separately, the labels are weighing going nuclear, potentially yanking rights to the web's most valuable...
Snapchat to YouTube?
Huh?
Snapchat?
Snapchat's different now. It's not just teen sexting anymore. You're so like 6 months ago.
What does it do now?
It's got news. The #1 Vice has a news show. Shane said it was probably the most watched news program on Earth, and it disappears every day. He said they're not serious about monetizing music on behalf of creators. I agree with that. And as a result, music companies are realizing they have to reset the current relationship, one senior industry source told the New York Post. They are fed up with the lack of monetization. When you look at how music is monetized from lowest to highest, YouTube is at the bottom. I agree with that. While consumers love free ad-supported music, the labels are much less enamored of the format. Each company is struggling to build profits in the face of declining downloads and is lobbying for a better balance between free and paid services. So this is definitely inspired by Taylor Swift, I would say, or she was a symptom of this sentiment. The labels know a radical move, or maybe she was set up by them to do this. The labels know a radical move, like removing all their content, is fraught with danger, as users may simply and quickly post their own videos. The move to squeeze more ad revenue from the videos picked up steam last week when YouTube parent Google revealed that in the second quarter, time spent viewing YouTube grew 60%, the largest uptick in 2 years, and that the time spent viewing YouTube on mobile more than doubled from a year ago. That's interesting. Google Chief Business Officer Ahmed Kordestani told investors the number of advertisers running video ads on YouTube is up more than 40%. And for our top 100 advertisers, the average spend per advertiser is up over 60% year over year. That must be why we have all these awful garbage content videos on every news story now. Even CNN does it, where they'll just play some random video. Like on this story, which is obviously a new thing about YouTube and music, industry friction, they might, on CNN, you'd see like an autoplay video at the top, which would be some slideshow about YouTube's history, completely unrelated to the story, right? Just to get an ad in. Because apparently the video ads make more money than any other format. It's still very difficult to make money online, period, from content, which is something I've been talking about for years.
They're having a YouTubers convention, and it seems like there's a lot of YouTubers making money. So,
I mean, not like the top one is like 6 or 7 million a year. That's, if that's accurate. That guy, PewDiePie, what the hell's his name? I don't even know what he does. I'd never heard of him until that came out. He's a Swede. I don't know.
you're asking the wrong person. The only time I go to YouTube is to find a specific video that I have keywords ready to go, and that's it. I don't do the rabbit hole search browse thingy.
Pam, you mean you're not a 13-year-old boy who writes trolling comments on music videos and watches video games?
No, but I can play a 13-year-old boy troll online. I should get another. I should do another account. Go troll people on YouTube.
We now have 9 times as many Meerkat viewers. If they're real, I don't know. Charlie said there's some ghost accounts. I don't know what's going on. All right, so that was the last official thing. Oh yeah, new Google Photos app for mobile.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we forgot this one earlier. Basically, they've addressed some concerns, sort of, that people have with the new photos. So that you'll now be able to set an album cover, but still won't be able to set the rest of the order in the album. And you'll now be, and it's not exactly clear who is going to see this album cover, I'll be honest. And you'll now be able to add a description to each file, which was one of the things that people were annoyed had disappeared in the migration away from Google+. So it's not clear if this will also show up on Google+. But this sort of now supplements the description field that was used there. Presumably also it'll be used as part of indexing, which will be good. And these are rolled out on at least the Android version and on the web version now.
Of
Google Photos.
Why does Google Photos have videos instead of just putting them on YouTube unlisted? Or private or whatever? Why do we have...
Because YouTube doesn't want them. They're for creators.
You know how frustrating it is to have to download something from...
Yes, I know how frustrating it is.
And then upload it to YouTube. Oh, Jesus. From one Google server to another Google server. Wasting bandwidth and time. I don't know. All right.
Get an email on the show and we'll ask him.
Yeah.
Get Bradley on the show and we'll ask him.
How can you not click? The Washington Post just tweeted.
did the photos guy ever respond?
That's Anil, and no, he hasn't responded to me yet. He commented on my post, and I haven't heard from him since. So Anil, Bradley, if you're out there listening to us,
Bradley's coming
I
on.
won't curse at you, really.
The Post is getting really good since Bezos bought him. Is that how you pronounce it? Bezos? Bezos, I think.
The Amazon dude?
Yeah.
Just call him the Amazon dude. That way you don't have to worry about it.
Guy's worth like billions and he's lost money like 20 straight years or something. You got to love that guy. Perfect owner for a newspaper. Boa constrictors actually don't suffocate their prey, but are still terrifying. How can you not click on that? The Post is really getting good. They're running all kinds of crazy stuff. All right, so Pam Adger in Menifee, California. What was the deal? I thought the Terminator would be a really good governor, but apparently he pissed everybody off, or what happened there? As a quick segue into
something about having a kid with his maid. I don't know, and hiding
no,
it
before
for 8
that his
years.
numbers were down, even before he was screwing the maid.
Because we live in a democratic state, and he's a Republican.
Oh, he's not a right winger,
But
obviously.
he married a Democrat.
Huh?
He married a Democrat. Hell, he
Yeah,
married Kennedy.
They said, but Governor Schwarzenegger, but Arnold, you said that working out was better than sex. He said, that was before I met Maria. But then he met the maid. Yeah, that's a whole thing. You got to love a guy who smokes cigars in a tent outside because they won't let him smoke them inside, and has a Hummer during the gas crisis. You know what I mean? He just doesn't care. I bet he gets along with Trump. So how was your week, Pam Adger?
It was pretty good. I just got back from vacation. I didn't want to go back to work, but I had to. And so I spent the week catching up and, doing laundry. That's about it.
Awesome.
It's going to be effing hot next week. It's going to be over 100 all week next week. So,
aren't you guys used to that?
we get hot in August. So yeah.
You're hot all year, Pam. See what I did
The
there?
weather. Yeah, I see.
Oh my God. So
I would
you
wreck
said
you so bad, Dan.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to get into a verbal. I choose my fights carefully. You said vacation. Neil Patel from The Verge is on vacation, and he had two funny tweets. He says, "I'm in London for 45 minutes. I'm drinking a London Pride in the airport. What should I drink when I get to Cape Town?" Think about that. He's drinking a London Pride beverage in London. What should he drink when he gets to Cape Town, South Africa? And then he said, he tweeted this article. He said, I told everyone to get really crazy while I was on vacation, and they didn't wait long. And the article was something like, you've been doing antiperspirant wrong all these years, or some crazy ass thing. Anyway, Alan Furstenberg. Pam, is the fire close to you, or is it like, a 2 days drive away? I don't know.
Which fire are you talking about?
I don't know. Isn't there some fire in California? It was on the news. The
Right
news
now
makes it
there's-
look like
right-
the entire
Summer,
state's
of
off the
course,
map.
there's some fire in California. What
Right now-
stupid question is that?
Right now there are 3 fires. The one that closed down the Cajon Pass is almost contained. There was one that's contained now that was in the high desert as well. And then just an hour ago, I got a message that Palomar Mountain is currently burning 60 to 90 acres, and I hope they can knock that down because
Ooh.
it's going to be freaking hot next week, and the heat and that Santa Ana winds will just tear that up. So
Awesome. So is it like?
but let me tell you, I mean, currently Canada has over 1 million square miles on fire or has burned, and Alaska, over 1 million square miles have burned in Alaska. No one's talking about that.
Is it and for folks, I mean, who aren't geography buffs, Alaska is big. It's about the same size as the 48 contiguous states. It's a huge state.
Yeah, it's a huge state.
But the population, I think, is only like 250,000 or 800,000. I forget. It's less than the population of Fairfax County, Virginia. So when Sarah Palin ran for vice president, that was like the county administrator of Fairfax getting nuclear codes. Just kidding. Not really. Okay, so, but But fire is nature. You know, it's clearing out the underbrush and stuff. I mean, you don't want to
Yeah,
like knock out the redwoods or anything, but
but it kind of screws up my plans to go see Denali. But yeah.
it's all about Pam in the end, isn't it?
Actually,
Well, of
Dan,
course.
Go ahead,
actually,
Alan.
Dan, you just made a comment about harming the redwoods. You have to remember, redwoods don't germinate except in fire.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, the both the coastal and the sequoias require fire for germination.
Interesting. So when they germinate, it's a real event, like the kid going on a date. You know, it's not every day.
Yeah.
I'm trolling him. He's up here.
The trees have plenty of sex. They just don't have babies.
How can you elaborate on why they need fire to germinate?
It's the way their pine cones are designed.
So
They
germinate is
only
the same as
they don't they
fornicate.
only open and distribute the seeds as a result of the heat from the fire.
Let's see if I can find a picture of a pine cone using Google Photos, because I actually have one.
Oh, we could use their excellent search thing.
Yeah, I know I actually have. No. I mean, I found a picture of a pine cone, but not the right one.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like going through my 1,000 photos from Yosemite trying to find it.
We don't want to screen share when doing a Google search. We'll come up with a new racial incident.
I don't think it's a racial incident, but probably pornographic for sure. We're not searching my photos.
even a seemingly innocuous pine cone search might turn something risque up in a search of Pam's
Yeah.
private collection.
You have no idea what some of these men on Google Plus name their peens.
There was
I
some
would be
comedy
scared to
skit.
death.
There was some comedy.
be
I think
scared
it was
to
a
death.
comedy skit. I don't think it was real, but it was some woman. And she was like on camera, and she had a whole wall of various things. She would stick anything for $5. She would an anvil. I mean, you name it. Alan Furstenberg in New York, Menifee, New York. Just kidding. How was your Google Plus week, sir?
It was okay. One of the things that I've started, and it seems to have caught on a bit, is I've been doing Google photo searches and publishing the results, or a selection of the results, both to show how well it works in some cases, how absurd it works in some cases, and to highlight some photos that I hadn't seen in a while. And it's slowly been catching on. I don't know why Google Photos isn't doing this, because it would actually be smart for them to do so, which is probably why they're not doing it. But
Was that a rare dig then? Just then, did you dig Google there?
I wouldn't do that, would I? But otherwise, it's been a week. We have a comment from Cy, by the way, surprised that we didn't comment on the fact that Amazon actually turned a quarterly profit this quarter.
Ah, a rare Dan McDermott correction.
And he's right. The quarterly results are out. Investors are very pleased with the fact that although they continue to lose money actually selling stuff, they're losing money on all of the Kindles. They're losing money on, selling stuff out of warehouses. They're losing money on streaming video. But they are making money, and they're making a lot of money on cloud services. And that's what brought them into the black.
Excellent. Yeah,
Why are you dancing, Dan?
he's trying to communicate with me, and I'm like trying to look up he's failing to communicate. What we have
And
here is a
didn't he
failure.
communicate back in body and sign language or something.
Who's he?
Richard,
Oh, okay.
His ward.
the kid,
Yeah.
my young charge, also known, he said, the protege, also known as the pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, the protege definitely doesn't have your ADHD.
Oh, he's not ADHD. He might be ADD. He's definitely not. Yeah, no one's ever accused. Being hyperactive is one thing he's never been accused of. Um, so anyway, I'm gonna share a screen. My week was good. We did the paper. This is the cover I did, and this is a drone picture. It's really funny. I, the guy sent it. His kid took it. A 17-year-old rising senior at Warren County High School in Virginia, and this is a picture of the Fireman's Carnival. And we have a neat article. This paper's free. It's my newspaper. You can read it at frederickcounty.com or warrencountyva.com. And I guess it's an ad, but it's not really an ad because none of our local advertisers care if you in California read it or not. But you can check this out. It's interesting. He took this with a UAV or whatever, one of those quadcopter things, and he said, "Hey, you can use this picture." And I said, "Are you going to get in trouble? Are you allowed to?" Because I can't remember what the FAA finally said. And he said, "Oh, I think you can go. I'm okay as long as it's under 200 feet. I think this was at 199." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." But then his kid took it, and so I used it on the cover, and I sent it to the dad. I said, "Here's a picture for Facebook." And he said, "Oh, that's awesome, thanks." And he said, "I'm gonna have him show it to his photojournalism teacher, and have him, see if he can get that B changed to an A or something." But that was funny. But then we talked about this fireman's relish. They make this relish at the fireman's thing at the carnival that was a picture of, and they make it in cement mixers. They go through like 400 and some gallons. It's 200 or 400. I think it's 400 and some gallons in just a few days of this relish. It's pretty spicy, but they actually have 2 cement mixers that have never been used for cement. They just bought them, and they like clean them, sterilize them, whatever, and that's what they use to mix the relish. Then it has to go for like 30 days. So it's this big intricate thing, and half of the money they make from the whole carnival is selling the relish. I think that's amazing, and I have some. It's great. It's really good, and no, they're not going to tell you how they make it. But anyway, so it was print week, so it was hectic and crazy, but I got the paper out, thank God, knock on wood, and it's on its way to a newsstand near you if you're in northwestern Virginia, where the Skyline Drive begins. So any final thoughts from anybody? Thanks to all our Meerkat viewers. We now have over, if these numbers are right, I'm getting suspicious now, but it says over 10 times as many watching on Meerkat. I'm getting a little suspicious because we're not seeing the comment flow that we saw earlier. So it could be a rare computer glitch.
That's because you're talking about something that people might not have an opinion about.
There you go. Everyone likes... Out of 50, though, someone would at least be trolling me, right?
You're talking about fireman relish. What? I mean, what the fuck?
Dan, everyone is going, what the fuck? It's not even troll worthy.
Isn't there someone out there like, I hate
wait.
local public safety officers. I can't stand those people.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there
There could be
that
some
are
kind of
thinking
troll.
that. However, this is how Dan's week is. Why would anyone have an opinion? We're letting you speak. We're being polite.
This is the one time during the program when I am left to my own devices. Speaking of which, I got to tell you, this article is pretty interesting. I didn't know this. I always thought boa constrictors, by name, they would constrict their prey, right? But apparently they don't. So that's in the Washington Post, so check it out, by an unpronounceable name. I can't pronounce either of the names. Alahi Azadi. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. We're here every Friday night, but come anyway. Friday night on YouTube Live and apparently Meerkat. We're all the rage on Meerkat. And at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, or thereabouts. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. By the way, President Obama is in Kenya, and it is awesome. You should read. It's a riot to read the local coverage of him going there to his ancestral homeland, and it's wonderful to read this. I mean, it's like, and then we beheld the awesomeness of that is Air Force One land. I mean, it's great. It's priceless, and but he's going there and he's meeting with Granny, and he hugged his sister, his half sister, and I just think it's cool. And they had 10,000 police officers guarding. That's I think a quarter of the nation's police force guarding Nairobi for the visit. But I used to live in. I haven't been to Kenya, but my best friend in the 8th grade was from Kenya, or no, he's from Ghana. I'm sorry, but my parents have been to Kenya. I was in Liberia, which is nearby, and President Carter visited there. But this is the first time a U.S. president has visited Kenya. And I also think it was neat that he went to a prison to talk about this crazy, we're locking up these young people and turning them into felons because they're smoking a weed. And it's just insane. We lock up more people per capita than China, right? We're number one in the world. You want to talk about USA number one? Yeah, we're number one in the number of people we lock up for stupid shit. I don't do any illegal drugs, but I just think that is insane. That we shouldn't have crimes that have no victim. If you want to go in the woods and smoke your joint, who you're hurting? Nobody. We should leave you alone. Anyway, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Any views expressed are solely those of the expressors. Until next time, have a wonderful Google Plus week, if it still exists next week. And until then, while they're partying everything out, we'll still get ready for a new show. We'll see you next Friday. Thanks.